RMJ movie reviews back again with my next Halloween marathon movie review of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. From 1988. Well, this was the return of Michael Myers, who took a hiatus from 1982's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And Mustafa Akkad pretty much made this thing independently, and he brought him back because they realized that Michael Myers was the money maker of the series. Halloween 4, The Curse of Michael Myers. I did see this film back when it first came to video. Maybe this was 1989, I assume. But my father actually let me rent it from a video store called Earl. It was either Earl's or Errol's. I think it was Earl's video store. They've got previews for it up here on YouTube somewhere. And basically, they used to be these really large cases that the VHS tapes used to come in that were burgundy colored, and it would say Earl's on the side, and then it would have the movie cover in between, and it had like these little styrofoam things that would hold the tape in place, and you would slide it in and out. There's still some floating around. I actually found one at a mom and pop video store for The Color of Money with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. I should have bought it. It was only $1 just to have a collector's item, but you should probably find them floating around out there. But that was where I first saw Halloween, The Return of Michael Myers. And it was directed by Dwight H. Little, who did Rapid Fire and Marked for Death, Murder 1600, and I'm trying to think what else he did. I think he did Anaconda's The Hunt for the Blood Orchid, or whatever that sorry sequel was called. I think he did that one. I can't remember. But Halloween, I always really thought this was a pretty solid sequel. What I liked about this is that Donald Pleasance, they brought him back again, and his performance in this was very good. A pretty good continuation of the work that he had done in the second sequel, part two. And you got a lot of really good characters in this one. I think the thing that I like about Halloween 4 is that a lot of the characters are very sympathetic, and then they bring in this new element of Danielle Harris playing Michael Myers' niece, Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, who's been adopted because Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, died in a car wreck, which really means Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to come back to the series. But they did use her picture, so Jamie Lee Curtis was getting paid throughout all these movies. They used two of her pictures, so maybe that was double the pay. I don't know, but you have that's where a lot of the sympathy comes from, because Michael is much more vicious because he's going after a little girl. And this movie is all around solid. Is it necessarily the best in the world? No, but I think in comparison to what we got afterwards, it's a very solid film. It does build a reasonable amount of tension. It's not like overly super suspenseful or anything, but it does build a reasonable amount of tension. It does have a nice atmosphere to it. I love it calls back to the original Halloween with the blue tint. The nighttime blue tint. Even though night doesn't really look blue, but on film, that's the way you translate night, is to have it blue. Um, Michael in this one is very much the force of nature that he was in the first film and in the second film. What I like is that they pull back a lot. They don't show too much of Myers in this film, but you do feel his presence a lot. And I think that shows, like, almost like the idea of Jaws, is that the less you see, the more you feel, or at least are not sure where the shark is, or where, in this case, Michael Myers is. And, because this is 1988, they did amp up the violence a little bit. And I like that the kills weren't too far overboard. There's a fair amount that are off screen, but they're brutal enough. I think obviously my favorite kill in the movie is the thumb through the forehead in the ambulance truck. I'll never forget when I first saw the film. That got me. I was just like, whoa, this is about to be serious, and that's still my favorite kill. Um, and the movie also, for me, gets extra points just for Kathleen Kinmount. That just gets additional points just because of her. And, and man, I'm telling you. And what's really funny is I'm digressing, people, but Sasha Jensen, the actor, apparently, it's because he kisses two women and he's a lucky guy. He got to kiss two very beautiful women in this movie. But what's really funny is I think he said that before they shot their scenes, kissing scenes, they needed to practice, which of course a guy probably in his late teens, early 20s would say something like that with women who look like that. Of course, we have to practice. It's not like they know how to kiss at 20 or 21 years old. You have to practice. Make sure you get it right. Sure, Sasha. But I absolutely, and one of the things Sasha Jensen said was that the crew loved Kathleen Kinmount. He said the boys just absolutely loved her, which is, you guys watch the film, it's absolutely and totally understandable, totally understandable. But this movie is filled with, and what I like about this is, as opposed to Halloween 5, the characters just, the actors themselves just play the moments. They just act in the moment. There is no going over the top, as opposed to when you look at the characters in Halloween 5, like they're all so giddy and ditzy, and they're just like, okay, yeah, that's how they play their role. But here, everybody is very grounded, very real. They just act like normal people who were thrust into this supernatural situation, and I really like that. I think that's one of the things that I like, is that this is a very relaxed movie in comparison to what you see with 5, and especially in particular Halloween 6 and Resurrection. Is just Resurrection and 6 are just like, it's just, they're so noisy and loud. They're not, and H2O is kind of like that too. 5 just has just those ditzy characters, but I love here has how the tone is just it just is relaxed. It's relaxed. It goes at a nice pace. It's a very good balance of when the scares come in and when they don't. It's not like Halloween 6 where every 5 minutes is just jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. It goes at a nice leisurely pace. And Michael Myers shows himself when he needs to, and there's a gruesome kill when it needs to. And I really think that this movie's solid in the balance of the violence, the suspense, and really just how the characters grow throughout the film and their interaction. This is a very solid sequel, very, very solid sequel. I really think the relationship of the characters, in particular Rachel and Jamie, is very good. And then you have two very strong male characters in Dr. Loomis and in Sheriff Meeker, played by Bo Starr. Very, very, and I didn't realize. Never mind, I'm not gonna digress off that. But it's very, very good, and I love. It's a very small dynamic, but just like that little love triangle between Rachel, Grady, and Sheriff Meeker's daughter, I thought that was a nice little moment that's not overly played. It's played about how it would be played in real life. That's pretty much the type of stuff that dudes at that age would do. And that's what a guy at that age would do most of the time. You do have some guys who can control their horniness, but more than likely, it would go down the way it went down. But, and the surprise ending with Jamie stabbing her stepmother. I genuinely at the time did not expect that when I first saw the film. And I think it's a very good twist that I love. That is Donald Pleasance's shining moment in this film, when he screams at the top of his lungs, "No, no," and then like he cries, man, Donald Pleasance was and that I will say in terms of character, that is my favorite character moment in Halloween 4. This is a very solid sequel. not the greatest horror film in the world, but it's very solid. It's very solid. So that's my review of Halloween 4. And also I also want to talk about that really cold opening where you're seeing the scarecrows and the empty fields. That just really set the tone for the entire film. That's how you do a title sequence. But that's my review of Halloween 4, The Curse of Michael Myers, and I'll be back with the last three of the Halloween series before we go into Halloween 2018. All right.